I suffer from depression and anxiety disorder, right? And it's not this new fake shit. I'm sorry, but uh there's a lot of people out here that they're what's the word I'm looking? They're like appropriating mental health disorders.
Yeah.
I
I was just gonna say people seem like they want a
yeah,
diagnosis. They gotta have a diagnosis to
yeah.
identify with. I agree with you, man. That is a thing that really pisses me off
Man,
too.
that shit, I'm looking like from like earlier when I told you I was going to get on IG and try to, communicate and link up with other people who are suffering from mental illnesses that are people of color. So I get on here and I start looking up, different hashtags and different searches and anxiety, depression. And then I'm reading like some of this stuff and I'm like, okay, this something's not, it's almost like that Jussie Smollett story. It's like something's not sitting right here. Then you go and you look through some of their other posts, and I don't want to discredit anybody that has legitimate mental disorders or mental illnesses, but a lot of this shit is fake, man. Everyone wants to talk about their anxiety. Their anxiety. Oh, I have, and like Charlemagne the God, the breakfast DJ for uh the breakfast DJ, the morning DJ for the Breakfast Club. He often talks about his anxiety. He wrote a book about it. And, I've brought him up multiple times on the show because, I respect his work and what he does and some of the things he brings to the light now that he's not as much as a jackass, right?
I don't respect that bullshit stupid interview he did with Anthony Joshua. I had to throw that in there.
Man, well, um, it's like after he brought it to the forefront, and then Kanye West being the nutcase he is. Now, I do not doubt that something's wrong with Kanye, but it's like it's popular now to have some sort of anxiety, my anxiety, my anxiety. Like, yo, for us that have been diagnosed by clinicians, by doctors,
Reluctantly
exact
diagnosed. Reluctantly
yeah.
diagnosed as well.
100%. It's like, yo, it kind of pisses me off that someone can get online and say, "Oh, I have anxiety because," and then you look at the reason and it's like, okay, you may be anxious, but you don't have an anxiety disorder. And I might sound like a jackass or insensitive for saying this, but I think a lot of people's shit is made up. They're looking for attention, and it's
Yeah.
just not real. And not to
Well,
discredit anyone who actually suffers from these problems.
yeah, it pisses me off too, and I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between environmental slash like uh external causation of anxiety or depression. For example, oh, I'm so anxious. I have my final exam in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Or oh, I'm depressed. My girl left me.
right.
That's different. And the thing that bugs me is I suffer from PTSD. It's totally crippled my life and taken a lot of things away from me. It's taken my livelihood, it's taken my future. It's taken pretty much my entire adult life for the rest of my life that I'll never get back. I really get irritated when I see people always looking to have some way to tell themselves they have PTSD. Oh, I have a little PTSD myself. People, I mean, it's goddamn ridiculous. Look, everybody has a certain reaction from certain trauma. Okay, now PTSD, of course, post-traumatic stress. That's one to me. I'm not an expert. I don't make these diagnoses up, but I'm just telling you my personal opinion. I think there's a difference between post-traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress disorder. Sort of like what we talked a minute ago about being body dysmorphic versus having a disorder. When you have a disorder, something is wrong that you cannot necessarily contain or manage on your own. When you're just stressed from trauma or post-trauma, you may be afraid. You may have a couple issues here and there, but by and large, it may not have a massive
Right.
impact on your daily life and your well-being. So I'm with you, Dan. I think people need to kind of get control again about what these things really are, because it's not fun having these mental illnesses, Dan. I know you know, and
Yeah.
it alters pretty much every single
Yeah.
thing in your life.
Man, once it all starts off with, you know, something's not right. You're not, you know, normal, right? Um, it it spirals out of control. You try to hold it together. Then finally, you get to a point where, and we both have at some point said this, I need help. This I can't handle this shit on my own anymore. That's when you know that you're facing something that's real, right? Not everyone does that. So, you know, it's like you go through years. It's not something that you can go to the doctor for one day, one or two visits and get diagnosed with. It takes years to diagnose some of these disorders, man. And once you do get a diagnosis, then the hell of medicine that they put you on, it's all trial and error. They put you on, well, let me back up. You try to avoid taking medicine. I know I did. I tried to avoid taking any medicine for any psychiatric medicine. SSRIs, benzodiazepines, like anything. I didn't want to take anything. But, you get to a point where it's like I cannot function like a normal human being. So, unless you're at that point, I'm sorry. We don't believe you. You need more people.
We need more people. Yeah, and you're right about meds. I did not want to take meds. I was forced to take meds by my employer at the time, messed me all up and water under the bridge now. But Dan, talking about this body dysmorphia and kind of how we touched on lightly, the difference between disorder and actually just being dysmorphic because you have issues with yourself. I kind of think a lot of this, though, I mean, granted, there's always been an issue with this. We've always known about people with bulimia, people with anorexia, things like that, especially, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, with the models being portrayed as all being skinny and thin and the ideal picture of beauty. But I kind of think now, Dan, on social media, it makes it even worse because now everybody is a filter. Every picture is a filter. I kind of feel like, and I read a study, I can't remember who did this study, that they did a narcissist personality test just by looking at people's profile pictures. And it is startling the amount of actual narcissists you can pick out just from social media accounts. I mean, think about this, Dan. You have people that will take 30 pictures, 20 pictures of themselves just to post one. Like
Mhm.
everything has to be perfect. And I think that's, social media has a lot to do with this issue. Everyone wants to look a certain way. Everyone wants to apply a filter. They don't look good enough. It's never good enough. And I don't think that should be lost on this seemingly epidemic level now of whether it be body shaming or people feeling embarrassed or just overall unrealistic expectations.